In a bustling town of noise and movement, Tao lived a quiet, simple life. A mechanic by trade, his hands bore the marks of years of honest labor. His voice was gentle, his gaze kind. He wore plain clothes, and his shoes were worn thin from walking the same path every day. Yet behind his soft presence was a love so deep it silenced reason. That love had a name. Becky. Becky was stunning. Her skin glowed, her nails were always done, and her phone constantly captured moments of beauty and luxury. She dreamt of gold, vacations in Dubai, and a life of ease. Tao had none of that to offer, except a genuine heart. So when he told his friends he was in love with her, they laughed. His closest companion, grabbed his shirt. "Tao, are you mad? That girl? Becky? She finishes men. Real men. You've been wearing the same shoes for over a year. She's out of your league." Tao didn't flinch. He looked straight at him and said, "I don't care. I'll do anything. Even if it means selling my father's house, I'll make her mine." No one laughed after that. His voice was too calm, too steady. They had heard that tone before. When Tao made a decision, not even fire could change it. He sighed. "This thing you're chasing will end in tears, but you won't listen." What they didn't know was Tao wasn't joking. He meant every word. But his friends weren't wrong. Becky had a history. Two men had already gone down the same path, and both had fallen hard. First was Chidi. He worked in a bank, always neat, his collar stiff, his tie choking him. Every day, he counted other people's money, but when Becky came into his life, he lost track of his own. She smiled and said, "Chai, I want the new pink iPhone. I hate waiting." Chidi, like a man under a spell, bought it the next day and gave it to her like an offering. She posted a photo, captioned, "When a real man knows what you deserve." Later she told him, "My girls and I are going to Ghana. You'll handle the bills, right?" His salary wasn't enough, but his ego was too big to say no. He borrowed, drained his savings, even took a loan from his boss. Becky flew to Accra, shared poolside photos, coconut drinks, and laughter. When she returned, she shared solo pictures. Chidi called. No answer. He texted. Delivered. But never read. The next morning, he tried again. "This number does not exist," the voice replied. Blocked. Chidi sat in his car and wept like a child who had lost everything. Then came Kevin. Louder. Bolder. He worked with a high-ranking government official and walked like he owned the street. His cologne filled every room. When he met Becky, he whistled. "God made you on a Sunday." Becky smiled that same slow, dangerous smile. "I want that necklace. The one for 350,000. Kevin blinked. "That's a lot of money." She pouted. "Then borrow. Or steal. You said you love me." Kevin, driven by pride and desire, walked into his boss's office the next day and took a brown envelope filled with cash. 2 days later, police came. They beat him, dragged him out, and cuffed him. Fired. Arrested. Jailed. After 2 weeks, he got out and searched everywhere for her. Her street, salon, online. Nothing. She had disappeared like smoke in wind. Chidi was left drowning in debt. Kevin with bruises and shame. Yet both still whispered her name when the night grew too quiet. While their pain still lingered, Tao was moving toward her, heart in hand, blind to what they had seen. Or maybe he saw it and just didn't care. That evening, clouds hung low, not with rain, but with the weight of Tao's longing. Friends begged him to stop. Once again, warned him under the mango tree, voice full of concern. "Tao, you saw what happened to Chidi and Kevin. They had money. You don't. You'll suffer worse." But Tao was unmoved. "I'll make her see me," he said, eyes staring at the horizon like he was searching for something beyond this world. Becky's birthday was near. Everyone knew. Her friends were buzzing with plans. Her social media teased the celebration. New hair, fresh nails, captions like, "Counting down to the big day." That night, Tao stood beside his father's old Camry. The engine still ran. The fabric on the seat still smelled of his late father. It was all they had left. Tao ran his hand across the bonnet, still warm from the sun. He whispered, "Forgive me, Papa." By morning, the car was gone. Sold. The buyer counted the notes slowly. Tao watched in silence, like someone watching a piece of himself being taken away. He used the money to buy a gown. Not just any gown, rose gold, soft, shining, like a dream stitched into fabric. He wrapped it in a golden box, tied it with a ribbon, and added red flowers that carried the scent of both love and sorrow. He walked to Becky's street. The evening sun cast long shadows. Children laughed nearby. The air was thick with the smell of fried plantains. Then the gate creaked open. Becky stepped out, wearing slippers and chewing gum. She looked at him surprised. "Tao? What are you doing here?" He opened the box gently. The gown caught the last rays of sunlight. The ribbon dropped softly. The flowers stood proud. Becky gasped. "Wow, Tao, this is mad." She dropped her gum, hugged him quickly, like touch was part of the performance, and grabbed the gift. Then she pulled out her phone. "Stand there, let me snap this," she said. She took pictures and posted one that evening with the caption, "When your man has sense." Her friends flooded the comments with likes, emojis, and praise. Tao smiled, but it never reached his heart. Inside, something was quietly breaking. He walked home alone, hands empty, but still carrying too much love. The streetlights blinked above him like they, too, wanted to cry. The birthday gown hadn't even faded from her page before Becky began to complain again. She sat outside, legs crossed on a plastic chair, frowning at the noisy compound. Children screamed, water splashed from buckets. The generator behind her window hummed like a swarm of bees. She turned to Tao, who had just returned, hands stained with grease, sweat pouring from his face. "This house is giving me headache," she said. "I can't sleep. That generator sounds like thunder, and these neighbors, too dirty. I need peace. A real man gives peace." Tao looked at her, lips parted, but nothing came out. He had no peace of his own. His rent was due, his shirts were worn, and his slippers had a hole underneath. But he didn't argue. That night, he went home and opened a small metal box his uncle had given him before passing away. Inside was a folded document, the paper for a small piece of land. His uncle had said, "Use it when the world turns its back on you. This land is your beginning." Tao held it like it was fire. Then he folded it back, slid it into his pocket, and walked to a land agent. The next day, the land was gone. He used the money to pay for a new apartment. Not just any place. It was on the island. Upstairs. White plastic chairs. Shiny floor tiles. Long curtains that danced with the breeze. Mirrors on every wall. The air conditioner was cold like early harmattan. Even the toilet had 2 buttons. That weekend, he took Becky there. She screamed when they stepped inside. "Tao! What is this? You finished me with surprise." She called her friends. They came in heels, holding phones. They laughed, danced in the living room, posed by the mirrors, sipped wine, and shouted, "Soft life." Becky climbed on a stool and yelled, "My man moved me. This is how you know a serious man." Tao stood quietly by the door, smiling faintly, but his eyes were tired. News reached his family. His mother sat on the floor, crying, her wrapper soaked with tears. His father's brother paced around, then dropped to his knees in front of Tao. "My son," he said gently, "that land was your tomorrow. Your only seed. You sold it for a girl who doesn't even love you. Please stop." But Tao didn't bend. His voice was steady. "I love her. I just need her to see it." Then he turned and walked away, leaving his uncle kneeling, and his mother wiping her face. Because when love grows loud, even warnings fall silent. 2 moons passed. The apartment stayed cold, the fridge full, but Becky's smile grew thin. She laughed less. Her words turned sharp. Her replies came short. One night, she sat beside Tao on the white leather sofa. The TV was on, but the volume low. She rested her chin in her palm, then turned slowly to look at him. "Tao," she said. "Yes," he replied. "I need one more thing." He sat up a little. "What is it?" She paused, as if tasting the words before speaking. Then she whispered, "A diamond ring." He blinked. "Not small," she added. "Big. Clear. Real. You'll propose in front of my friends. That's the only way I'll know you're serious." The room grew heavy. Tao's heart skipped, then raced like rain pounding on zinc. He nodded, pretending to understand. But inside, flames were rising. That night, he walked alone to Yi's shop. The road was damp. His slippers made soft, wet sounds. When he arrived, Yi was drinking cold sachet water and fanning himself. Tayo said, "I need help." Yi lowered the water. "Help for what?" "I need to buy a ring," Tayo replied. Yi raised his brow. "Which kind?" "A diamond ring." Yi looked at him like he'd gone mad. "Tayo, after the car? The land? Now ring? Diamond? You're still chasing that girl." Tayo stayed quiet. Yi shook his head, frustrated. "You're on your own. This one will destroy you." Tayo nodded and turned around, walking away slowly, as if his heart carried a weight no one else could see. He didn't ask anyone else. He knew no one would understand. That night, he sat alone in the living room. The AC was off. The fan ticked with every turn. He buried his head in his hands. Nothing left. No car. No land. No backup plan. He closed his eyes and opened them again. Then it came. Quiet, like a whisper. Then louder. Clear like morning sun. "What if I don't buy the ring?" He sat upright. "What if I just borrow it?" His heartbeat rose. His mind drifted to one place. One man. The biggest jewelry shop in town. And just like that, the idea took root, and by morning it had begun to grow. The next morning, the sun was still dragging itself across the sky when Tayo wore his cleanest shirt, the one missing a button but free of stains. He brushed his hair, cleaned his shoes, and stepped out. His pace was calm but firm. His chest was heavy, yet he moved like a man on a mission. He passed yellow buses, women calling out prices for puff-puff, and boys playing draft beneath tired umbrellas. He walked past ATM queues and beggars with open palms, and finally, he stopped in front of a tall building made of glass and pride, Idris and Company Jewelers. Inside, the floor was cold like the belly of morning. The air carried a scent of wealth, and the lights above gleamed like stars trapped in crystals. Tayo stood at the door, breathing hard. Then he stepped in. A tall man in a sharp suit emerged from behind the counter, polished like power itself. "I'm Mr. Idris," he said. "Can I help you?" Tayo lowered his head slightly. His hands trembled. "Sir, I know this will sound strange, but I want to borrow a ring. Just for a proposal. I don't have money. I just want to show her I'm serious." Mr. Idris raised a brow, first surprised, then oddly amused. He chuckled. "Borrow a ring? You're bold." Tayo didn't respond. He just stood still waiting. The man studied him a moment longer, then reached into a glass case and brought out a ring. Gold, thick, and set with a diamond that shimmered like fresh dew on green leaves. "Take it," he said. "But bring it back." Tayo's eyes welled. He bent slightly and whispered, "Thank you, sir." That evening, Becky's entire compound transformed. Tayo hung small lights from the gate to the corridor. Soft music played from a speaker. He brought fresh flowers, real ones, red and full of life. The neighbors peeked from windows and narrow cracks. Becky stepped outside in a silk gown, her face full of questions. Then she saw him. Tayo was on one knee. "Becky." His voice shook like branches in wind. "Will you marry me?" Her eyes widened. She gasped. "Oh my God, Tayo. This ring, it's fire." She slipped it on, pulled out her phone, snapped videos, boomerangs, and selfies. Within minutes, she posted it online with the caption, "When love meets luxury." Instagram exploded. Comments poured in. "God, when? Soft life. This is goals." Tayo stood nearby, smiling softly. But behind the smile was emptiness. He had no land. No car. No savings. Just love. And now, a ring he didn't own. 3 weeks slipped by. The wedding came. The cake was tall. The hall glowed with flowers and fried meat. Music played like joy. Becky wore a gown so golden it made others stare in envy. Her smile was wide, painted like the morning sun. As she walked down the aisle, applause followed her. Phones rose. Cameras clicked. She twirled, radiant like a fairy tale come to life. On her finger, the diamond ring sparkled, catching every beam of light. To her friend she whispered. A man with sense. Tayo stood beside her in a black suit, shoes that still smelled new. His smile lingered, but his eyes were distant. His hand held hers gently, but his fingers were cold. Because while the wedding looked like a dream, Tayo knew something others didn't. The story wasn't over. The wedding photos flooded the internet. Becky posted daily, by the cake, in her gown, close-ups of the ring. Captions like, "When your man loves loud." But slowly, people started noticing. "That ring," one girl whispered. "I've seen it before." Another said, "Wait, isn't that from Idris's shop?" They posted pictures side by side. Zoomed. Matched. Whispers turned into noise. Becky's friends started asking questions. One even joked, "Babe, na real diamond or Dubai gold?" Becky smiled at the joke but didn't laugh. That night, she sat next to Tayo in the living room. The AC hummed gently. Curtains swayed with the breeze. She stared at the ring, then at him. "Tayo," she said quietly. "Where did this ring come from?" Tayo looked down. His throat felt like sand. I borrowed it," he said. Becky's eyes grew sharp. "What?" "I only wanted to show you I was serious," he said, voice low. "I plan to return it." She stood without a word. Her slippers made no sound. She didn't shout. She didn't cry. She simply walked into the bedroom. By dawn, before the sun touched the sky, she was gone. No note. No goodbye. Just silence. And the ring still on her finger. But Becky didn't leave like a whisper. She left like thunder. Her first post shook the town. "He borrowed a ring just to deceive me." The second one sparked laughter. "He brought food in a black nylon bag." Can you imagine? Then came the pictures. Tayo's brown shoes with torn soles, his small room, his work clothes stained with years of oil and grease. She posted them all. One caption read, "When love comes from poverty, it always hides something." People laughed. The internet mocked him. Comments rolled in. "Look at his shoes. Omo, I feel sorry for her. This one na real poverty love." But Tayo said nothing. No post. No defense. No explanation. He simply went back to work, bent over engines, fixing tires, wiping sweat with his old faded towel, while the world that once cheered him now watched in silence. Then Becky, dressed in white lace and golden heels, stepped into Idris and Company. She slowly slid the ring off her finger, as if it had become too heavy with regret, and placed it gently on the glass counter. "I'm done," she said, her voice flat. Mr. Idris gave a quiet smile, the kind that barely reached his eyes. "So now you're free," he replied. Becky turned and walked away. 1 month passed, and the internet lit up again. New photos. Becky barefoot on a beach, sunlight soft on her skin. She wore a flowing white dress, and beside her stood Mr. Idris, holding her hand. Guests clapped. The food was rich, the music mellow, and her smile beamed across social media. She's glowing. She finally found someone worthy. Luxury suits her. But beneath the filtered joy and flawless captions, something unseen was moving. Because the real story hadn't even begun. It began with a single photo. Tayo in London, wrapped in a black coat, polished shoes, walking beside a tall woman in heels. Her smile was subtle, her eyes sharp, like someone who had survived much and spoken little. People zoomed in. "Is that Tayo?" More photos followed. Tayo at a glass-walled restaurant, stepping into a sleek black car with foreign plates, sitting at a boardroom table with men in suits. Always beside him was that same woman. Then came the truth. Someone posted, "That's Adijua, the real owner of Idris and Company." The internet erupted. "She owns it. Then who is Mr. Idris? What's Tayo doing with her?" And finally, thunder struck. Adijua wasn't just a businesswoman. She was Tayo's sister. Quietly, without noise or applause, she had built Idris and Company from the ground up. Tayo had been there from the beginning. Not just as a mechanic, but as her partner in the shadows. The borrowed ring wasn't a desperate trick. It was a test. One night, sitting by a fire in their father's compound, Adijua had said, "Let's see who she really is. Let her show herself." And she did. The ring had never just been a ring. It was a mirror. And it revealed Becky. Completely. Phones rang across town. Wait. Tayo owns Idris and Company. You mean Mr. Idris is just the manager? That ring. It was his all along? Becky saw the news. Her chest tightened. Her hands shook. Her makeup cracked before her tears even fell. She rushed out, caught a taxi, and went straight to the compound she once called dirty. She didn't knock. She dropped to her knees at the gate. Tayo, please, her voice cracked. I didn't know. I swear I was foolish. Forgive me. The gate remained closed. The security guard stood calm. Boss doesn't take visitors, he said. She waited. Then she saw them. Tayo and his wife, hand in hand, returning from church. They were smiling softly. His wife, Amaka, wore no false lashes, no designer heels, no noise. Just kind eyes, a simple wrapper, and a voice calm like early morning air. She had loved him long before the proposal. Before the lights and flowers. And now the same ring Becky once flaunted rested on her finger. But this time, it held something deeper. Etched inside, my soul, Tayo. Becky stared, at the ring, then at her own bare hand. The same fingers that once flaunted that ring online now wiped away tears. She turned and ran. Her wig slipped sideways, her eyes wet, her feet dusty. She burst into Mr. Idris's office. You're my husband now, she gasped. Please take me back. Mr. Idris leaned back in his chair. His smile was dry, brittle. Husband, he said. Who told you that? Becky blinked. But, we married. People saw it. We wore white. You gave me a ring. I only wanted to prove a point, he said calmly. You never loved people. Only things. Rings. Cars. Photos. That was all. Becky's lips trembled. You used me? He stood, adjusted his jacket, and walked out without a word. Becky collapsed to her knees, her sobs hitting the cold floor like rain on old tin. She left the city. She moved in with her aunt, the same woman who once warned her, beauty without sense is like yam without fire. Becky stopped posting. Her phone stayed silent. Her mirror collected dust. Then came Chief Becky. Old. Toothless. His wrapper always half-tied. He smelled of tobacco and sweat. But he had goats, land, and 2 wives already. Becky became the third. The first wife gave her silence. The second gave her pepper water, poured on her dress the first night. Fights came fast. Over wood. Over food. Over space. Becky sat in the corner. No phone. No ring. No friends. Only her tears. And every night, she clutched one thing. A wrinkled photo of Tayo from the day he proposed. She pressed it to her chest, whispering, if only I could go back. But time doesn't turn back. And love, once broken, doesn't always wait. If you enjoyed the story, leave a like, drop a comment about what you learned, share it with someone you care about, and don't forget to subscribe for more African tales like this one. Thank you.